You're listening to the Gutsy Podcast, where we talk about all things real, raw, and ridiculous about running a business authentically. Whether you need an inspirational pick-me-up or a swift kick in the mental ass, the Gutsy Podcast is your bi-weekly guide to getting out of your head and back into action. I'm Laura Ora, branding and mindset coach for female entrepreneurs, CEO of Works & Co., and your host on this journey through entrepreneurship. It's time to fuel your gutsy. Do you ever feel like you've done the work, yet continue to end up in the same types of situations over and over again? How can I have done so much work, yet end up back in the same scenarios? What if I told you that your subconscious mind has a lot, well, if not all, to do with that? Today, we're talking with subconscious transformation guide and business coach, Krishna Avalon, about shifting your subconscious thoughts so that you can break the cycle and feel empowered as the creator of your life. Krishna has coached over 22,000 clients to become their best and most empowered versions of themselves through a simple and unique process of transforming the subconscious mind. An acupuncturist and guide for 18 years, her work has currently expanded into subconscious transformation coaching, which can be used for life, business, relationships, and wellness. Before we talk to Krishna today, I am super excited to invite you to a new group program that I'm offering starting in April. After working with my coaching clients, listening to the feedback, talking to people on TikTok, just like absorbing and listening to what are the things that are keeping you stuck? What's going on in your mindset? What do you feel like you're missing in your business? The things that are always, always, always coming to the surface, and the things that stop women from really doing and being all that you know that you can be is the mindset, the conversations that are happening in your head, the lack of clarity and time, fear and lack of confidence, and feeling like this need and tug and pull to adapt to the shoulds of the world instead of what you actually want to do. So we are going to fix that together as a group alongside other like-minded women in business. This new group program is called Realign, and it's a 6-week group online coaching program that's going to help you get back into alignment in your life and in your business. Think of it like a business reset, so to speak. It's going to be a chance for you to reconnect with who you are, what you actually want, and how you want to do things. I'm going to teach you ways to recognize and shift your mindset in the moment so you're only down mentally for a few minutes instead of a couple of weeks at a time. We are going to simplify the shit out of your business, help you gain focus, get a lot of clarity that you're looking for, and reignite the why, the reason that you're doing this in the first place. This is a chance for you to work on your business, to get reconnected with what it is that you want and who you want to service. This is a chance for you to get your hands wrapped back around your business, to feel comfortable and confident making decisions that feel aligned with you, and to answer the question that I always, always, always see and hear, which is, what do I do next? So Realign is opening to just my community members at first. This is launching as a beta course, which means it's a lower price point. I'm kind of building it as we go because I really want to take into consideration what's happening in real time, what you want more of, what you want less of. So as a thank you for being alongside me as we build this new robust program for female small business owners, I'm offering it at a one-time lower rate and with a smaller, more intimate group. Look, this isn't even built out on my website. You can't just like randomly find this. So if you're interested in applying, there are super limited spots and you can only gain access to it if you go to lauraora.com/realign. It'll give you all the details, the dates, the times, the places, and the buttons to register. There's even payment option links, everything you need, lauraora.com/realign. All right, enough of me. Let's get into today's episode all about shifting your subconsciousness. Super juicy, delicious episode. Krishna, welcome. Welcome to the Gutsy Podcast. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you, Laura. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So I know there's always a journey and a story. So tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and what has led you to where you are today.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm just always been a person who has done things my own way. I started off as an acupuncturist. I've been doing that for 20 years. Super, super good at that. But right before pandemic hit, maybe a year or two before that, I was just super ready to do growth work and maybe shift my career into something more expansive where I could like work less and make more. I love acupuncture. I get to see magic happen every day, all day with people. But when you've been doing for something for so long, it's definitely time to grow. And then I had heard about the subconscious a couple years before pandemic hit, became super obsessed with it, was reading books, was listening to podcasts, heard about the process that I'm trained in, which is called Psych K. I don't love it, so I call it subconscious transformation because that is what we're doing with this work. But Psych K stands for psychology plus kinesiology. And Bruce Lipton, who wrote the biology of beliefs, he refers to like the most effective work for the subconscious being energy psychology. And that's what Psych K is. So it's a totally conscious, simple process where we are using muscle testing before and after we would do a balance to make sure that there's been a shift. And the shift is what indicates that the subconscious mind has expanded, which would allow us to, depending on what our goal is in the balance, peacefully unattach from stress or trauma or create more expanded beliefs. So to your question, how did I get into this work? I heard about Psych K, had a session, didn't necessarily feel any different, but I knew 100% that I wanted to train in the process. So when the pandemic hit, I looked into it, found out my teacher was teaching all 4 classes, and I took them all during pandemic, and I ended up moving into her house as she moved to Mexico. She taught this work for 12 years here in this house. And I still knew 100% that I wanted to do it. I knew that my life was changing from doing the work myself, but I wanted to offer this work to the patients I was already working with and just see what their experiences were before I felt comfortable like having people come in and pay me for sessions, because acupuncture for me is such an embodiment and something I've been doing forever. Like I needed more proof. And the stories were amazing, like without me even asking, all the testimonials that were coming back. And so I'd say for being an entrepreneur, I've always been, I think, outside the box person, like never really fit in anywhere, but just didn't really know how to find my way. Acupuncture school was the first thing for me. Becoming a mother was the second natural thing for me. And now this work with the subconscious is my third 100% yes for how I'm meant to be in this world, hold space for other people to feel empowered as the creators of their life, because that's what this work does.
Amazing. I love it. It's so much about leaning into when you feel that yes, honoring that process and saying, oh, there's something about this that really lights me up. I'm very intrigued. I want to learn more, and just continuing to lean into it and following those yeses and allowing it to develop in the way that it's intended to.
Exactly. And I feel really lucky because acupuncture school was such a thing for me that I never looked back. I mean, I enrolled in this program that was 4 years and 100 grand and a master's, and I never even had had acupuncture before.
Wow.
And then there's the same thing with the mother. Like, granted, I was meditating for 2 hours a day and was like very much in my energy, but I just never, I doubt it now as I'm parenting a teenager. But like being a mom, being pregnant, all that was just the most natural thing. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I
that's
can
it.
I can relate. The teenage navigation is a whole new world of its own. How old is your child?
She's 13, and I tell you what, I am so grateful to have the process of Psych K because there's a balance in it called the transformation of stress. And what you're doing is you're essentially giving your brain another pathway to have a new experience. So if you're repeating the same thoughts, the same patterns, you have a stress that's taking up so much of your psychic space or your energy. This balance allows you to have a new experience and peacefully unattached. I've been doing them pretty regularly for my stresses, and most days are beautiful, but like so many of us, she can get very dark in her mind. She doesn't understand why so many people have to suffer. She's a big feeler, like her parents. And she's 13 with hormones and like freaking COVID and technology and, all the things. So, yeah, there's nothing worse than when our babies are suffering, right?
Yes, 100%, because you just want to fix it, and that's not really what it's all about, is it? It's really about holding space for them and allowing them to be seen and heard and to feel what they need to feel and honor those emotions.
You just
Not
said everything that's like everything I'm trying to be. And so, yes. And like the more I can just kind of take myself off of her and give her space, but be present, the better I am as a parent right now.
understandably. So tell me, what is the subconscious? Like, what is it? How does it play a role in our life? Um, it's so much of the work that you're doing now, and so I'd love to better understand what it is.
It's major. It creates 90 to 95% of our lives. So you have the conscious mind, which is very important. It chooses what to feed into the subconscious. So you don't have two different minds. It's just you have these two parts. The conscious mind creates like 5 to 10% of our lives. The subconscious, where our beliefs are stored, it's where our memories are stored, our habits, where we're on autopilot. And so you work with the subconscious, that's going to be the big heavy lifting of your life. And a lot of people, we don't know what our beliefs are. We know what our conscious mind beliefs are. Like we know we want love. We know we want a career that is inspiring. We know we want healthy relationships. But if the subconscious believes that you're only worthy or deserving of like this much of that, that's what you're going to keep repeating over and over.
Okay. So how is that showing up in our lives? Like, I think it's fascinating that the conscious is playing actually such a small role, but we think that that's the leading role, but it's really vice versa. So what does that look like in day-to-day life? What are some scenarios?
Right. I've been working with a lot of people, coaching them through not even very many sessions who've maybe been in talk therapy forever, and they intellectually and consciously understand why life has happened the way it has, like because of our upbringing and society and the experiences that reinforce our beliefs. But they're still stuck. They're still angry. They're still triggered. They're still wounded. And it's because they're just working with the conscious mind. So the subconscious is going to be where we have our self-worth, where we trust or do not trust ourselves, what we feel we deserve. And that's entirely based on our experience and what we've been shown. And maybe we feel like we deserve a certain amount of love or money or comfort. But again, the subconscious, if you expand that into bigger beliefs, that's when you can be really empowered as the creator of your life. So there are things that we're stuck in as well, and where we feel held back and limited. That's subconscious work as well. So those are like the two main areas that I first start working with people. People will show up, we'll start talking about life. I'll ask them, like, are you feeling stuck or held back in some area? Where do you want to move on? And or where do you want to grow in your life? And some
And
people start off and they're just kind of like shy about wanting more than you can imagine. But we are absolutely limitless beings. And you can use this work to be like completely empowered as a creator, like so full of inspiration, worthy of the best that love and life have to offer, following your heart, following your inspiration, and that you deserve that.
do you find that that people end up repeating cycles? Like, I've done the work, I've been through coaching, I've done therapy, I've done like all this stuff. So why am I back in the same scenario, but in a different time and space? Is that related to the subconscious?
Absolutely. And this was me forever. I didn't understand why I couldn't have things that other people seem to have so easily, or like why their relationships weren't full of conflict and strife, or why like I just couldn't seem like I could always make a lot of money, but I could never like keep money. Is because my own self-worth around like feeling worthy and deserving of support and ease. And so if you expand those beliefs about yourself, it's true that your life will just start to change. People will respond to you differently. Your circumstances will change. Sometimes it's just the most big, obvious ways. And sometimes it's really subtle. Like if you're all of a sudden just doing things that you were too shy or held back to do before, that's pretty epic. It can feel subtle, but that's a pretty big deal. Just like what we were saying before we jumped on live, it's like seeing myself now on videos or hearing myself on podcasts and liking what I hear or see. Holy shit. Like a few years ago, I would have wanted to throw up if I saw myself in a video, judging myself, feeling like some sort of imposter or not worthy to be heard or seen. I don't feel that anymore. That's so huge.
That's enormous. I mean, I think that that's one of the largest reasons that people don't show up in the way that they want to, because I think a lot of us want to be seen and heard, but also don't want to be seen or heard. It's a double-edged sword sometimes, and so working through the subconscious to release those beliefs,
Yeah.
and then truly looking at yourself and being like, wow, I am magnificent. I am smart. Where did that even just come from? That thing that I just said was brilliant. My hair looks amazing today. Like you just start showering yourself with all these wonderful things, and not saying that every day is going to be perfect, but more often than not, um, it sounds like you can really start to enjoy the things that are right in front of you.
Yeah, or imagine if you created, so the other balance besides that transformation of stress balance is a goal statement balance. So in the goal statement literally creates the belief in your subconscious so that it's a possibility. So if I didn't have the belief in my subconscious now that I accept myself as I am, I wouldn't be able to do this stuff. So that's like some of the example of like what we would do so that you could feel safe to show up as you are, that you are worthy of love exactly as you are.
Wow.
You're worthy of receiving and that it can be easy. Think of how many of us women, especially, like will give and give and give and give and give, just trying to be accepted and earn love and feel like we're a good person or a good mother, because that's what we were taught and that's what we were shown, especially if we grew up religious like I did. Like you just constantly should be giving of yourself and do shit you don't want to do all the time to prove you're a good person, to not get kicked out of the tribe.
Man, that's a whole conversation in its own, isn't it?
Yep.
But it's so true because like you said, particularly as women, we're taught that like you must give at all expenses. And if you take or have anything of your own, then you're full of yourself, and you're putting yourself before others, and just all this other like horse shit that we're fed. And it's like, gosh, if we don't have ourselves, truly, what do we have?
Exactly. And I've
It
done a lot. Go ahead.
The narrative has just gotten so skewed for so long. But I love that we're living in a time now where women are like, yeah, we're not going to do that shit anymore. We're going to stand up for ourselves and for one another and really embrace who we are and what we want in this world. And yes, we can be givers and love on people, but we can give to ourselves and love on ourselves first.
Exactly. And that's so beautiful. But imagine that being your conscious mind and you feeling like you need to prove that, or you need to like fiercely have boundaries, because that's conscious mind shit. But then if you drop into the subconscious work and you create the statement, I deserve rest, my joy matters, stuff like that, I deserve to feel inspired. Those,
There's something too about the ease that you were talking about that
yeah,
I want to come back to. And you had mentioned earlier about seeing other people and like, how are these things just coming so easily? And if I'm looking at this particularly through the lens of business, it's very easy. I know we're seeing highlight reels, but it's very easy to look at other business owners and be like, how are they just doing this? How are they getting all these clients or earning all this money or doing all these things or look so happy? They have all these things. Why does that look so easy for them? But I feel like I'm scratching and clawing to even just get a fraction of that.
exactly. They're either totally full of shit and fronting and
which is
maybe,
very possible.
yeah, and following a formula that may or may not work for them. I can say as an entrepreneur, I've learned to put my energy where it actually matters. And it's always been about fine tuning and taking my own frequency. And then that is a broadcast and people will fill up my schedule. Yes, I've had to hustle. Yes, I'm my own business owner. Yes, I just joined a business networking group this morning because I'm like, I want to be doing this coaching stuff all day, every day. I really do. And I'm just now like in this education phase of like talking to people like you who I watch like all the light bulbs going on. And I know that this is what it was like for me as an acupuncturist as well. And I know that this is my path, but like putting my energy where it matters. For me, I'm not trying to like front a bunch of stuff on social media because even though people read my stories a lot, are they signing up for sessions right away? No, not always. Sometimes, but I've learned to like harness and fine tune how I put my energy out. And a lot of that is doing this subconscious work where I'm expanding my own beliefs, where I'm peacefully unattaching to, trauma and stress that created a lack mentality or showed me that it was going to be a struggle or showed me like you have to work to deserve money. No, I've done a lot of balancing myself that's around ease, around feeling deserving of receiving and support, and really deepening in the trust of myself so that when there's this spaciousness, it's because other frequencies or other activations in myself need to come through. And I don't need it to always be like this certain way. Like I can trust in the space. I can trust in the mystery and in the unknown. And that's been just invaluable.
I can trust in the space. That is power in its own, being okay in the still moments and leaning in and expanding your energy and just like, I don't know, there's this level of trust that really can help expand things in ways that are kind of mind blowing sometimes. But that's not always everyone's first, first go. It's like, oh, there aren't clients. Shit, what do I need to do right now?
Right.
How do I do more? How do I say more? How do I show up more? How do I frantically do things more? And like, how do you stop that like frantic I must do
Exactly.
to step back into let me allow? How
Yeah.
what
I've
is that?
been there. I've totally been there because I have been my own business owner for 20 years. And I have been really successful. But as a business owner and a practitioner who's moved all over the country multiple times and then just started practices up all over again, there are times when, there's spaciousness because I'm not trying to be on social media. I'm not putting a bunch of ads out there. I'm like literally resourcing my own energy and then outputting where it makes sense for me to put energy. So, my lens is the nervous system and the subconscious mind. Those are my specialties. And you do have to connect, for instance, what your experience is to what you're believing in your mind. Your body is going to respond to that. For instance, who have like chronic neck tension or shoulder tension or jaw pain or back. It's like connecting that to what you're believing in your mind and becoming aware of those kinds of things. Knowing how you want your life to feel. That's another huge thing. If you want to be hustling balls to the wall all day, great. If that feels good for you, great. But are you doing that and not getting anywhere? And that's where the subconscious would be the thing to work with.
Hmm.
Like I trust myself in the unknown. I trust my path. Money flows easily to me. Even if you don't believe that now and you want to create that belief as the possibility, that's a great goal statement to create. So those are some of the things I've done for myself. And I mean, I don't even know how things are happening. Like I bought my teacher's house. I can't even believe I could afford it. I'm about to buy like a dream thing on my own vision board, which is an action board. I'm going to buy a Winnebago camper van in a couple of weeks. Like I'm flying across the country to pick it up because I got this incredible deal that my neighbor hooked me up on because he has 4 of those vans for his business and driving it back here. Like No, my schedule is not completely full the way I'm used to it being, but my business is also transitioning. I'm moving out of acupuncture into just coaching. And so if I hadn't had this work of being able to trust myself in the unknown, of allowing space for things to shift, I would be like that, be spinning.
And that hustle, do, fix, like
Yeah.
all the things. And I mean, I know there's probably some people listening right now going, okay, but how do I do that? Like how do I start to make that shift? How do I start to lean into that ease and the flow and the allowing when I feel so programmed to hustle?
Exactly.
So what do you recommend?
Right. I mean, and if you're not going to do a session with someone like me, which is going to do the heavy hitting for you, it just really is. You can work with the subconscious on your own, but these bigger practices that will help get you there quicker. And then you reinforce with these other practices. I can teach you a few of these today. That's going to be how you get there the quickest. There are some things you can do on your own. And then I also think that there's huge medicine in being witnessed and being seen, and have someone who can guide you to your blind spots, for instance. So whatever works for you. If you want to do stuff on your own, awesome. You know, a lot of people will be like, oh, money's tight. And I'm like, I get that. You can spend another 5 years trying to do, or you can like do a couple sessions and work with your subconscious and watch how your entire life changes. So I never try to talk people into doing anything with me ever. That's like not a good energy exchange for me at all. I want people to show up being like psyched to do this work. But on your own, the subconscious loves images more than words. So our mind can get in the way and fuck up the flow because it's so busy trying to rule the world. I would say practice dropping into how you want your life to feel. And you don't need to know the steps of how you're going to get there. Practice the feeling. So the time that our brains are most open and susceptible to being rewritten and having new information is in that sleepy, sleepy stage called theta. So right before you fall asleep and first thing in the morning, before you even get out of bed, if you can, you just drop into your heart and you really are just like, what do I want to feel more of in my life? So you connect to that and just have that intention, and then practice feeling it as if it's already happening. And then see in your mind, what does that look like? You don't need to go into the steps, just like maybe an image, like a lotus flower opening, or you floating in some shallow salt water and there's like tropical flowers and a rainbow and birds chirping and like deep green foliage all around you. You know, like what do you want to feel? And so those are some of the kinds of images that I have on my vision board where I can see it when I wake up in the morning. And really, you need to put action to that as well. So you don't just have a vision board, you also are clearing the things out of your life that keep you from that. You're starting to make choices that get you to that. You know, I'm speaking on this podcast because I want to do this work all the time. I'm naturally a space holder. I'm naturally a guide. I've been it my whole life. I'm watching people's lives transform. My life has transformed. I believe in it with my whole heart. But still, there's action that you have to put into that. So some people are blessed enough where they can just like have a vision board and do no action. I don't know many of them, but some people's subconscious, they were just born into this world, right, where they were not shown otherwise. They had a ton of privilege, or, you know, had this incredibly healthy family dynamic, or always told that they were amazing and could do everything and didn't watch a bunch of TV or listen to disempowering music. Those people do exist, but for most of us, we're trying to expand our beliefs.
Krishna gives us such an incredible reminder that you get to choose how you want to feel. As you're building your business, you've probably unintentionally picked up a lot of ways that you quote unquote should do things, the way you should build your business, the way you should offer products and services, the way that you should show up or not. And let this be your reminder that you get to build your business in a way that aligns with you. The very first thing that we are going to focus on in the Realign program is your mindset. Because before you're a business owner, you're a human. And as a human, you have thoughts and feelings and needs and desires. And the conversations that you are silently having with yourself every single day have some of the most profound impact on what you do or do not do in this life. If you want to have a chance to see and feel your life and business from a 30,000-foot view, shift the mindset shit that's been holding you back, and get a very clear, focused plan of action so you know what to do next. Register for the program at lauraora.com/realign. Krishna has a lot more wisdom to share with you, so let's get into the second half of today's episode. I love the combination of energy and action because I believe wholeheartedly that one requires the other,
Yeah,
right? They lean on one another. And so taking action is such a huge portion of this because you can think and visualize and practice all day, but your actions need to meet your beliefs and where you're headed if you're not where you want to be, or looking at your vision board or your mood board or whatever it is, just a big beautiful photo on the wall. um, Feeling into that is so powerful in the first step, but then taking conscious actions to move closer to that is it brings it full circle.
exactly. And I mean, Psych K is not the only thing to work with subconscious mind. I know some people have done really well with EMDR. I know there's other stuff like the emotion code. I've tried that. It's lovely. That works more with the emotions. To me, the more impactful work has been with my mind and my beliefs. And it's been a quicker and direct route. So it's like doing a session or two or three like this, and then reinforcing with your vision board, and then reinforcing with the meditation of how you want to feel, then eliminating the stuff from your life that is a distraction or keeps you from the life you want to experience. So powerful.
What about, I love the practice of when you're falling asleep and when you're waking up in the morning. What about like in your daily waking life when, you've been doing this work and you're reprogramming, but then influences come in, right? Somebody makes a weird ass comment that throws you off, or you see something that like makes you feel unworthy again. Like, what are some in the moment actions that we can take?
I love that question. So for me, I'm learning that my triggers are, and I used to be reactive as fuck. So I'm learning now that my triggers are like, oh, I'm being shown where I want to grow right now. Like, what am I trying to learn right now?
Hmm.
Instead of like being mad or giving your power away to how somebody else behaved or something like that, you're like, what am I trying to master or learn right now? Oh, empowerment. Oh, not giving my power away. Oh, trusting myself. Oh, not letting things affect me, or just taking a breath instead of reacting and having a response, which is to, what do I need right now instead? If you're so lucky and can do that in a triggering moment, that's huge. In your day, the subconscious loves repetition. So if you can, several times throughout the day, take a moment, close your eyes, practice feeling like you want to feel. You don't do it when you're stressed out and irritated, but you can instead shift gears and just practice like, okay, I'm like stressing you. Let's see if I can drop in instead. Like, what do I want to feel right now? Yeah, the subconscious loves repetition. The neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to like be adaptable and change and have new experiences. And a lot of times what our bodies are reacting to, for instance, like with anxiety, is what we're believing. And a lot of what we're believing is not even true. So there is a practice that I teach people where you are connecting what you're experiencing, whether it's emotion or sensation, to what you're believing, asking yourself, is it 100% true? Do I know that to be true? It's usually not true. Okay, what do I need right now? So that kind of rerouting from behavior that's been like very reinforced, that's just that clear path in the mind. It's clear because we've taken it a million times, but it doesn't mean it's the best route for us.
So I get this visual of these pathways, and please correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but I picture these pathways like trenches or ditches that have been just constantly gone, or a road, right? You've been down that gravel road before where you can just very clearly see the tire marks. And that's where every car that goes down that road, they just automatically go into those grooves. Is the subconscious mind working like that? Like we have these grooves in our minds
Mhm.
that our body's like, oh, we know how to do that. We've done this 1,000 times before, so that's where we're going to go. And the subconscious work is shifting and creating a new groove. Is that
That's
is that
exactly,
fair to say?
that is 1,000% accurate. You said that so correctly. And it's not that the other grooves go away. It's just that your action steps, which we do in the goal statement balance, we come up with an action step, which is pretty small. It doesn't have to be huge, but it shows your subconscious that you're reinforcing this new pathway to take in your mind so that you
Mm.
can have a new experience.
So you said that the old pathways don't go away.
Right.
So our beliefs that have been, kind of grooved into our minds, so to speak, they always stay with us. So is it we could be presented with a scenario where we could go down an old path as we once did? Are we always going to need to face these things that have subconsciously trained us in the past, or does it get easier? I don't even know if I'm asking you the right thing, but does that make any sense?
It makes entire sense to me. I would say it depends on how you're working with the subconscious. If
Okay.
you're not doing stuff like this, like Psyche or EMDR, or some other kind of subconscious deep work, for some people, hypnotherapy works. It didn't work for me personally, but it does work for some people. Um, it's going to take longer. So they don't go away, but like this work is expanding your belief and creating that new pathway, but it does have to be reinforced. So you're creating it as a possibility essentially with Psyche, but it does need to be reinforced. And not even that much. When you look back on our chart notes and your subconscious sees that you did your action step, it becomes easier for the subconscious and the world to seek that information out to
Mm,
prove that this is your belief. So the subconscious and the nervous system's job is to seek that information out to reinforce our beliefs. It doesn't matter if your beliefs are true or not, or if they're contracted and limited, or if they're expanded. That's their job, is to reinforce your belief, to keep you safe and to keep you right. So you
mm.
want to reinforce just this little bit so that it's easier for the subconscious and the nervous system to now pick up the information. So it's like the person in pandemic who felt very unsafe. Everything was dangerous. Their subconscious and nervous system are always going to see the stay away from everyone, wear 3 masks, people are not safe. They're always going to hear the news that's the most awful, that's to keep you safe, to keep you in your familiar. Whereas people who trusted their bodies, maybe, or just felt like they could be careful and responsible and be outside, they're the ones following the sun. They're the ones being in nature. They're the ones trusting, that fresh air is good. It's a different experience.
Is this why we tend to see more of the things that we are thinking about?
Yeah.
Like if we are thinking in an expansive space and we're thinking about like, oh, I would like to be a speaker, you start seeing more people being speakers, and you start seeing opportunities, and you start maybe even getting ads about people doing, speaking classes, or, like you just start seeing and feeling it more often. Is that because the subconscious is like, I know we've been working on that. Here's some stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Although I might make a smartass joke, which is also true, that AI will come into the situation and be like, oh, they scrolled down in the feed when they saw this. So
Yes.
let's just double dose. But somebody gave a good example about how that happened after they decided to buy a certain car.
Yes.
And they were just seeing that exact same car everywhere after that.
Yes. So is that kind of a neat way to recognize when you have started to shift your subconscious, is when you start hearing and seeing the things that you're working on or towards?
I love that question. I've never been asked that before. And I would say yes, because it's where you're putting your focus.
Hmm, that's cool. This work is really fucking cool.
It's so cool. I'm
And
telling
our bodies are so cool, right? Like yes, we hold on to things, but yes, we can also release things. And, when we really take the time to invest in ourselves and programs like what you offer and do the work on a daily basis, gosh, that's literally when we become limitless beings. Right?
Yeah, it's what I'm here for. My daughter, we were talking about teenageness, and she does go to the dark places in her mind. And so to relate, I've told her about my own times when I'll lay in bed crying, wondering what is the point of everything. But my personal survival strategy has been to follow what inspires me, because without that, for me, like, what is the point? And also, if it's an option to be inspired, if it's an option to be love, if it's an option to follow beauty or be in peace, I'm going to choose that. That's my personal medicine. And that's how I'm like the best mother and the best practitioner. That's not everyone's medicine. And I respect and honor that. Some people need to be out there marching, yelling at people, getting shit to change in different ways. And I have big respect for that. It's just not my personal medicine in the world.
I mean, there's such a beauty and an honor in knowing that everyone works differently, right? The way that you show up is different than the way that I show up, and that's more than okay. In fact, it's necessary because we all have our own unique paths and our own purpose to fulfill in this world. So, as you were saying that, I was wondering, we do have those shitty moments, right? When everything, like nothing seems to be going your way, or shit's not working, or you're feeling really discouraged, or you're just really uninspired. How can you work with your subconscious to help get you out of that space?
I love that so much, because I give this example lately often, because I've been dating for the first time in my life, but I've been seeing like this one person, and so much vibe, so much chemistry, so much connection, and like legit fell in love. But when that happens, you get triggered, right? And so without this work, I'd be so screwed. But I have created goal statements that are like, I can be present even in the chaos. I
Mm.
can be present even when it's uncomfortable. I can be still and allow people allow others their own experience. I can stay in my energy without giving my power away. Those kinds of things that I had to learn and outgrow. I forgot what your question was, but that has just been what I have learned.
I No, you're good.
to-
So when you're in those darker moments, or when you're feeling
Yeah,
uninspired, what can you do to help shift your subconscious to move
right.
through that space?
Yeah. And for me, it's like focusing on how I want life to feel, which is not bypassy. Like even this morning, I was really in it. Last night, I was really in it. And so I let myself cry. I did some journaling. I have done subconscious transformation work to just allow myself to be as I am, to trust myself even when it's uncomfortable, to hold myself and not abandon myself and distract with everything, even when it's uncomfortable, and just trust. Um, that's not work that everybody's ready for. And so I would say, first of all, just like honoring what your needs are. Like, what do I need right now? Even when things feel super shitty, do I need a cup of chamomile tea with some honey? Do I need a hot water bottle on my belly? Do I need a bath? Should I just go lay on the earth? Like really simple things, even when it feels like shit. Nurture yourself. Ask yourself what you need. Don't always be looking for it from the outside world. Like, what can you give to yourself right now? However seemingly small, you're showing yourself love. You're showing yourself that you're there for yourself. You're going to take care of yourself. That's what I'd say.
I love it. It's so beautiful because it's gentle, it's soft, it's nurturing, it's loving, it's allowing. I think that a lot of times we're so programmed to like, oh, this feels bad, get out. Let me move through this faster. Let me get over this. Why am I feeling like this? And just all this gunk that starts coming up. And there's so much power in allowing yourself to feel what you need to feel, whether that's crying or yelling or whatever it is that's coming up and out. And then what simplistic thing can you give to yourself?
Yes. And that's the thing. That's the other program is people think it has to be complicated or take a long time or that it's outside of themselves. It's
Yes.
usually simple. It's often free. And I'm always guiding people every day. It's just like getting rid of the stuff that's not you. It's not necessarily about taking more on. And that's a
Mhm.
lot of what the subconscious work does is it's just like getting you back into who you are, letting go of the programs that have been very limiting and self-sabotaging.
Ugh, amazing. Just had a lot of emotion last night, in fact. And I was just feeling all up in my head and feeling overwhelmed. And I'm like, I need to cry. I need to cry. So, I let out a good cry and I talked to my husband, and then I just was feeling still kind of unsettled. And I did exactly what you just suggested. I said, what do I need right now? I need to go touch the earth. For my own personal reconnection, getting my feet in the grass does wonders for me. And so at 9 o'clock last night, it's chilly because I'm on the East Coast and it's fall. Um, I'm in my pajamas and this big blanket that I use in my bed, and it's wrapped around me, and I'm sitting in the grass in my front yard. And I was just like, "Ah, that's better."
I
And
love
it's so simple, right? It's so simple, but just finding what your reconnection point is, I think
that.
can be really powerful.
I love that for you so much. I just felt that whole experience and then like looking up at the stars and
Mhm.
getting away
Yep.
from these devices and just taking a minute and some fresh air. It can be that simple.
That's the thing. Like, it didn't take long. It wasn't this whole spelled out ritual. It wasn't some complicated routine. I didn't have to drive across country to do anything. Like, just sat in my front yard for like 5 or 6 minutes last night. And then I slept amazing.
I love that. Yay. We had a similar evening.
Yes, must be in the air. So you've said a couple of times goal statements, and I love that, and I'd love to learn more about how can our listeners develop, like, first, what are they? And second, how can our listeners start to develop their own?
Yeah, so we call it the goal statement balance in the Psych K process. And not everyone that's a Psych K facilitator is going to guide you the same. Like you always want to find someone you feel connected with, who you feel sees and hears you. And I would
Yes.
highly advise you find someone intuitive because they're going to know how to guide you to the right balance. My teacher was my teacher. She was not my facilitator. I did not
Mhm.
feel any different after my session with her. Super grateful for the house that I got and the four trainings that she did for me. I have mad respect for her, but she just wasn't my facilitator. So in the goal statement balance, the goal of every balance in Psych K is to create what's called a whole brain state. And that is very simply the left and the right hemispheres of your cerebral cortex are communicating clearly. And when that happens, that's when your subconscious can expand and you can create a new belief in this particular balance. So we just talk about what you want. And from that, with my help, you come up with the goal statement, which is the belief that you want to be creating from. So you keep talking about it doesn't usually take that long to get there. Sometimes we'll start off with a transformation of stress balance just because you come in and we're talking about life, there usually is something that people have been too caught up with in their mind, even if it's seemingly small. Imagine just clearing the slate of all that mental chatter you were referring, like even if you're like all hustle all the time, thinking you need to do all the things, like how exhausting. Clear the slate maybe first with a transformation of stress balance and then create, well, what do you want? Goal statement. So we do that muscle testing at the beginning to establish clear communication with your subconscious, which just means we get a clear yes and a clear no. And if we're doing a virtual session, this can be done virtually. I just ask to muscle test on your behalf. Very simple. And then we go through the balance to get you in the whole brain state to either peacefully unattach from the stress or trauma or create this more expanded belief. And then we muscle test again after to make sure there's been a shift. And then if we're doing a goal statement, which is essentially just you creating a belief for the life that you want, then there's an action step at the end. And again, that just reinforces this new pathway that you created in your mind.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it's simple. It's
That's
so
a, that's
simple.
you literally just took the words out of my mouth. I'm like, this is so simple. It almost seems like, no pun intended, but it seems like a no-brainer. It see what I did there.
I love that. Nobody said that. And that is the thing. And I think that's why I had to offer it to like 20 of my patients, just because even though I knew I wanted to train in it, even though I knew it was working for me, even though I followed it as a 100% yes, I still just wanted to know more. Like I just wanted to, because I was like, God, this is so simple. This is so simple. Just need to
And,
make sure this is working for other people.
well, I think
Well,
that I think that that's beautiful, right? Is to do the work yourself and have first person experience with it, but then to try it out and experiment with it, and just there's a difference in learning from like learning from an educational standpoint, but then you learn so much more when you're actually doing, when you're implementing, when you're doing the action of it. So um, I love that you're like, this is way too simple. Let me just make sure. And it turns out it really can be this simple. And that's what so many people are looking for, right? Like people are bogged down and they feel heavy. And especially after the last few years, like there's just a weight, an invisible weight that so many people are carrying, and really taking the intentional time to work within. You have the power to shift these things.
yeah. And I love that you said that you're like saying all of the perfect things, but I have that approach in my acupuncture practice as well. Like just less is more. People come in and they're just like, yeah, like overflowing with all the things rapid fire. And I'm just like thankfully knowing how to work with my own nervous system and reflecting that back to them. And then in this co-regulation, they settle down. And it doesn't take 20 points. It takes like 8 for things that they've had problems with like forever and haven't been able. It's about the nervous system too. And just like calming that down, creating a little more spaciousness so that the body can heal. So just to your point, less is more.
Does the subconscious and fight or flight go hand in hand? Are they friends?
Yeah, for sure. Like imagine if you're in the belief that it's not safe to be in your body, because a lot of people have had experiences where it wasn't, where there was harm done to them, or they couldn't trust themselves because something shitty happened to them. Or imagine that money was always a struggle. And so you're constantly always worried about stuff. So, yeah, you have these beliefs because of what your life has actually been and what has been shown to you, and what then is reinforced by your experiences over and over and over again. So, creating the belief that like life feels spacious and easy, money flows into my life and fills my bank account, or I deserve rest, ease, and support. These are some of the goal statements that people have created in sessions with me.
Amazing.
I know. I
I
know.
would
And then I'll get messages the next day, and they might not seem huge to other people, but they're like, oh, a client finally paid me and they've owed me for 3 months. And then a random check came through today for $400. And then I got a job offer. Like, yeah, this stuff is real.
You started to beautifully transition into my next question, which is, can you share some success stories from some of your clients? Like what have some of them experienced through this work?
I love coaching love right now. And it's probably because of what I've done within myself to expand feeling held, feeling safe, feeling worthy of a relationship, feeling deserving, like pleasure, all these things. And so now getting to coach and guide other women who are like super boss babe, high achieving, productive, successful women, which is amazing. But a lot of that did come from like needing to prove their worth, right? But now they want to be in a relationship. And maybe the relationship they want is that masculine energy where they're like in a traditional way, in a little bit, like they get to be soft or open or surrender or receive. And there's this man that can hold them in their bigness, in their fullness, and not feel threatened, loves to take care of them in certain ways, that kind of thing. And that's not for everyone. Some people just want to have a healthy relationship. Some people want to have relationships that are not constantly complicated and stressful. And so I feel like I came into this world totally navigating life through my own feelings and relationship and my heart. And so it's just natural that I would be learning these things for myself, doing my own expanding, and then being able to be embodied and guide other people in that way. So people finding the relationships of their dreams, people having clear boundaries in ways they've never been able to before, being able to easily say no when they haven't been able to, even in their families, feeling heard and respected at work, being able to quit their job and then pursue what they actually love. Parents, that's another thing I love, working with parents who want to feel more present and joyful in parenting, but they have this belief that they need to be doing all these other things, or they were never shown as a child that like joy did matter. It was more about like materialistic shit or just like some other superficial thing. So I've been working with a lot of parents. I love that. And they're enjoying parenting. They're able to be present. And then when you're able to be present, you are going to be able to feel more connected in life. I love helping people feel more connected. So those are some. I have a crap load of testimonials on my website and on my Instagram page. I feel like testimonials are the best for helping people understand what's possible with this work.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, you can talk about it all day long, but when you can hear and see someone else's experience or someone else that's was in a place that you're currently in and seeing how they've been able to transform because of it, like that's pure magic. I mean, that is worth more than any ad spend on any platform, in my opinion.
Boy, exactly.
Amazing.
Hmm.
This work is beautiful, and I want to make sure that everyone knows where to get in touch with you. So where can we find you? And if there's anything that you'd like to offer our listeners, I'd love for you to share it with them as well.
I'm just so happy to meet you. It's been such a joy to instantly connect with so many of the people I've been able to talk to. So thank you for having me and asking such thoughtful questions and holding beautiful space. Everything's just under my name. So my website has, why do you want to work with the subconscious? What is Psych K? Also, who am I? And then there's a resources page there that has some somatic practices, super helpful for regulating the nervous system, feeling safe in your body, being present, which is something you want to teach yourself to do one step at a time, one breath at a time. There's some breath work practices on there, which are big and powerful. Those are for clearing trapped emotion out of your body. And then what else do I have on there? So I think some visualization meditations for just connecting to your own energy. I'd say that. So that's under the resources page on my website. And then my name on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Excellent. Well, we'll make sure to have all of those links in the show notes. So if you are interested in her work and just more about the subconscious, definitely make sure to go to the show notes and check out those links today. My last and favorite question is, what does the word gutsy mean to you?
I love that question. I listened to some of your podcasts and I just was like loving that you asked that. And it's interesting because for me, the gut is my intuition. So it's following my intuition. It's listening to my body. Our bodies tell us everything we need to know. So listening to my body, listening to my intuition, and then creating life from there.
Your body, look, I always say that. I'm like, your body will never lie to you. it when you get that gut feeling, when you get that instinct, you get that drop in, that is a breadcrumb. And it's up to our present day self to decide if we're going to pick that up or not. So thank you so much for this. This has been just a beautiful conversation and a beautiful space together. Thank you for doing the work that you do and expanding in ways that allows other people to expand as well.
I agree. This has been such a joy. Thank you so much.
This Thursday's 20-minute Power Back episode is about releasing things that are holding you back. You are insanely talented. You have an incredible ability, and your ideas and your passion exude from your body. And that often leaves you wondering, like, what the hell is going on? Why am I not where I want to be? Why am I not achieving the goals that I have set? Well, I've found that there are 4 very common things, and I can promise you, if you release these, you'll start to thrive in the way that you know that you can. If you're loving the Gutsy podcast and are taking away nuggets of wisdom, I would so appreciate if you could go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. It helps other amazing female entrepreneurs just like you know what they can expect and gain from listening to the show. If you're a TikToker, that's where I tend to play the most. You can come over, follow me, and listen to some more nuggets of wisdom. I am at that Laura Ora, and as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.